Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Our today's lecture is based on reading comprehension, and inshallah in this week we'll be talking about reading comprehension. We'll be doing certain exercises related to reading comprehension, and after the completion of this lesson you'll be able to read the given passages. You'll be able to adopt different reading comprehension strategies, and you'll have practice on reading comprehension exercises, and you will also acquire this skill. When we talk about a skill, remember that skill is acquired by virtue of practices. So in this case, as this is also a skill, so you have to do certain practice. So you have to be able to read, you have to be able to understand the given text. So the first thing, that what is reading and who is the reader? Reading is a complex phenomena that mainly involves a text and a reader. Like speaking and reading, these two are basically productive skills. Listening and reading are receptive skills. Speaking and writing are productive skills. So when you are reading, so the text is involved, and you being the reader receive the given text, try to understand its meaning and find out the answers from the given text. So we have to remember that there are certain meanings encoded in the text, and we have to decode such meanings. And when we do the practice, ultimately we acquire the skill and we learn it how we have to decode these meanings successfully. This will not be done in a day. We can say that Rome was not built in a day, so same is the case here, that it will not be done in one practice. You have to be doing these things regularly. You have to do these things regularly, otherwise you will lose the practice and you will lose the skill. It is a process of constructing meaning in which the reader is an active participant. You are provided with the text, you have to construct the meaning, you have to understand the text. So reading is basically the process of creating a relationship between the text and the reader. So this is a process. As you can look at the slide, that is the text and you are a reader. So there is a relationship that is created by virtue of reading. So more you are skillful, so you will be having strong relationship with the text. So meaning doesn't allow a flow automatically from the text to the reader. Whatever the writer has written, the text has got some meaning, but it is not going to flow automatically. Rather, there are certain clues. By virtue of that, you have to generate meaning. Means when you are going to read the text, it doesn't mean that you are straight away you are going to get the meaning. Sometimes there are hidden meanings. You have to decode them. You have to try to understand them. So reading comprehension is that skill that when you are reading, so you have to understand that particular meaning out of that text. Now we are talking about comprehension. Basically, it is a highly complex cognitive process in which there is an intentional interaction between the reader and the text. You are the reader and this is a text that you are seeing. So there is going to be an intentional interaction. And out of that interaction, a meaning will be created. So comprehension just doesn't happen. It requires effort. You have to make some effort. You have to try to understand the meaning. It is not like that you are reading and you are straight away you are understanding the text. No, rather you have to do some effort. So reading comprehension refers to the ability to understand information presented in written form. As you know, I told you before that reading and listening are receptive skills. So you have to acquire that ability to understand the information. So while this process entails understanding textbook assignments, reading comprehension skills also may affect one's interpretation of directions on exams, labs, homework, assignments, and completion of job applications or questionnaires. How this reading comprehension affects now, let me tell you. Sometimes you are provided with one question in exam, and when you try to understand that question, instead of trying to understand that question, you straight away go towards the answer and start answering. But later on, when you come out of examination hall, you come to know from your fellows that there were three parts in that question that you need to answer. And instead of acquiring that skill, instead of comprehending that question, you have straight away attempted only one part and attempted it and done it, and you have expected good grades. So that is what we do. This is an interaction between the reader and the text that was unsuccessful, that you didn't understand the question and you straight away attempted only one part. So we define reading comprehension as a process of simultaneously extracting and constructing meaning. Means the text is given to you, you have to extract the meaning, you have to find out the meaning, and sometimes this is a simultaneous process. First you have to extract, then you have to construct. Means through interaction and involvement with written language, whatever you are reading in the text, first you get your own meaning, you have constructed, you have extracted that meaning. Then when you try to understand that given text in that particular context, means in that particular passage, sometimes there are words which have multiple meanings. There are sentences that carry multiple meanings, but when they appear in particular paragraph, they have got specific meanings. So that is what that you have to construct the meaning. First you have extracted, you have noted down the meaning according to the dictionary, according to your understanding. But when you read the passage, you came to know that there are other, this is not what you meant. Rather, you have to construct meaning through that interaction, through that text. ठीक है, आप उसको पढ़ते हैं पैसेज को तो उसका मतलब कुछ और निकलता है. वैसे जुमला जो होता है एक सेंटेंस है, एक वर्ड है, उसका मतलब कुछ और होता है. So when you are reading a passage, you are reading a paragraph, you are reading an extract, you are reading a sentence. In all cases, you have to be careful that you are interacting with the text. So read the text in its context. So there are three major elements that entail comprehension. First is the reader who is doing the comprehension. Reader means you and me. We are the readers. We are trying to understand what. The second element, that is the text. We are trying to understand the text. So what we are doing, we are trying to comprehend, means that is the activity. So there are three things, three elements that entail reading comprehension: the reader, the text, and activity. So there is a strong relationship between reader and the text through this activity, through the process of comprehension, that interaction takes place. ठीक है, एक्टिविटी कब होती है? कॉम्प्रिहेंशन के जरिए होती है. रीडर और टेक्स्ट के दरमियान जो इंटरेक्शन होता है. And be watchful that reading is basically one-way process. You are reading, and that doesn't mean that straight away you are responding. Sometimes when you are reading a newspaper, when you are reading a book, so you are not going to respond the writer, you are not going to respond the editor, rather you are just getting the information. So that is an activity that is just, and that part that you have to comprehend the passage. So there are certain factors that affect reading. You know that sometime it takes place within a context. As I told you before, that the context is very important. It is what that surrounds the act of reading. There are three factors: the text, the reader, and the context of the reading situation. These three things influence reading. When you are reading, so you have to read the text, who is reading, and what is the context. We'll be discussing these three factors in the subsequent slides. But remember, they are interrelated with each other. They overlap and interact to affect the reading process. What is the text? How did you read? How did you understand? So sometimes you try to understand the text from the context, and sometimes you fail to understand the context. So in both cases the output is different, understanding is different. कि कॉन्टेक्स्ट को पढ़े समझे बगैर आपने उस सवाल उस चीज़ को समझा तो उसका रिजल्ट, उसकी आउटपुट कुछ और निकलती है, ठीक है, उसका रिस्पांस कुछ और निकलता है. So the first factor that is related to the text. Text is broadly construed to include any printed text or electronic text, rather that is in written form, that is in electronic form. And when we are talking about activity, we include the process, the purpose and consequences associated with act of reading. So the text and then the act of reading. So what is this reading comprehension? It involves much more than readers' responses to that text. Reading comprehension is a multi-component, highly complex process. It involves many interactions between readers, what they bring to text. क्या होता है, क्या interaction है? There are many interactions. You know, when you are reading the text is provided to you from your course book, from your text. So the one that you read in your, for example, you've read in educational psychology class, the text that you read it, the one you read today has got some relation with the one that you read before. So sometimes you have to connect the given text with your previous knowledge. So sometimes, and along with that, there are certain variables. Means, do you have an interest? Do you understand the text types? Means, if that was interesting for you, you have understood it easily. You can say, if that was not interesting for you, so it took a lot of time for you to understand. But sometimes I can say that in some subjects you excel only due to this reason, that you've got an interest and you utilize your previous knowledge with the current text, and your learning, your understanding is enhanced. But not in all the cases. In one subject you excel and in the other subject you do not excel. The reason behind that is interest, that you're not interested in that subject, so ultimately understanding is not enhanced. So the vocabulary, sentence structure and organizational patterns of reading materials vary. Sometimes the vocabulary that you are reading, that is related to your course, and sometimes the one that you are reading that is not related to your course. Means when you are reading the newspaper, and the vocabulary used in newspaper, the sentence structure, the organizational patterns, they are different from the one that you read in your course books. For example, fictional narratives, if you are reading poems, information text, so you'll find out different sentence structure in poems, and not all stories are similar. So not all information texts are same. If you are reading a history book at one part and at another part you are reading a science text, so they are different in terms of vocabulary, in terms of sentence structure, and in terms of material that is provided there. If similar book, for example, there is a novel written on Islamic history, and there is a history book on, and that book also contains the same events. So you can read both the books and you will see that vocabulary, sentence structure and material, that is also variable. दोनों में चीज़ें मुख्तलिफ होंगी. There will be a lot of difference between the two. Even they both are narrating the same event, but their way will be different, quite different. But here, as we are talking about history text and science text, so there are differences. Then the features of any given text have a large impact on your comprehension. While reading, you construct various representation of text that are important for comprehension. For example, exact wording of the text means कि जब आपको एक text मिलता है, आप exact wording से उसको पहले आप meaning निकालते हैं. Then you find out the idea units represented the meaning of the text. Then mental models, the way in which information is processed for meaning. I told you three things, three representations. First is surface code. Text in your course book is provided to you and you try to understand the exact wording of the text straight away. And in some cases, you are not going to understand the exact wording, rather you are going to understand the meaning of the text. Then mental model means what is the image that is created in your mind. So what your mind processes, what it gives you in this way. So these are the factors, and another factor, that is reader, that the reader also affects the reading process. How he affects, look here, when you are reading in the morning, you are reading, your understanding will be different, and if you are reading the text in the evening, your understanding will be different. If you are healthy, you are feeling fine, your understanding will be different, and if you are feeling unwell, then your understanding will be different. So your physical and emotional state affects that how you will approach reading experiences. Are you tired, hungry, happy, stressed? So ultimately, the way you will approach the text will ultimately affect your understanding. जिस condition में आप पढ़ रहे हैं, you know, if you are suffering from any big disaster and you are attending your university, you are attending your classes, despite the fact that you have suffered from that disaster, so your understanding will also be affected. Your approach will be affected. The reader doesn't operate in isolation, but interacts with reading material and the situation in which the reading occurs. You're not going to operate in isolation. Means you're not living in isolation. You are put in certain situations when you are reading anything. For example, if a marriage ceremony is going on and on the background, and you in the morning you are attending the classes, and in the evening you are busy in attending the marriage ceremony of your brother, so, and along with that you are studying the text, so definitely that will be affected. If you are attending anything different from that, that will also be affected. As I told you, the time, the mental condition, these all things are affected. These all things leave a great impact on the reader. ठीक है, कि जब आप पढ़ते हैं उस वक़्त ये चीज़ें आपके ऊपर असर छोड़ती हैं. Very simple, as right now it is 12:52 in the noon. So when I have my classes in the second half of the day, so I can also feel that my readers of slides in my class, my students, their mental state is different. And when we conduct the classes in the first half of the day, I mean to say on Friday, so your approach is different. So your response is different. This is what the reader affects reading. So we have to look at the capabilities, abilities, knowledge, experiences that a person brings to the act of reading. So reader brings to the act of reading his or her own cognitive capabilities. Cognitive capabilities means attention, memory, critical analytic ability, inferencing, and visualization. Every reader has got his own cognitive capabilities, so his understanding will be different. His motivation is different, and why he is reading. Then his knowledge is different: linguistic knowledge, discourse knowledge, comprehension strategies, vocabulary and topic knowledge. His experiences are different. So the reader affects reading. As I told you, if I ask you to write a summary, if I ask you to find out the main ideas and your understanding from the text, so that can never be the same. That can never be the same with your group, with your fellows. The thing that you understood in certain cases may be that your fellow group mate didn't understand the same thing. उसका opinion मुख्तलिफ हो सकता है, ठीक है? So the last factor related to reading is the context. Louis indicates that stories are typically read for enjoyment, to experience a lived through event, understand human characters and emotions, and recognize and appreciate the author's craft. Informational material is usually read to garner important information topic. So there are different things, different, as you can say, context is ultimately affected, that different purposes why you are reading, that requires different approaches to the act of reading. आप क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं? Why you are reading? So that affects, that is a context. Why are you reading? So you are reading for entertainment, or you are reading for information, you are reading for education. So the purpose of reading will ultimately affect reading. So now we have to look for some reading comprehension strategies, how we have to understand the text. So reading comprehension strategy is basically a cognitive or behavioral action that is enacted through under particular contextual conditions with the goal of improving some aspect of comprehension. Means there are some tools. That you have to use to solve the comprehension problems they can encounter in the text. Means you have to adopt some strategies to understand the text. कुछ आपके पास हथियार होंगे, जैसे when you go to the university, when you sit in exam, so you bring your pen, your marker, your lead pencil, your razor, you take all these things with you. These are the tools with which you will attempt the question paper. So there are some tools that need to be utilized when we are going through reading comprehension. ठीक है, कुछ strategies आपको adopt करनी पड़ेंगी. There are 7 strategies that I'm going to highlight there. So we'll be talking about these strategies in the subsequent slides. The first one is activating or building background knowledge, then using sensory images, questioning, making predictions and inferences, determining main ideas, using fix-up options, and synthesizing. So we'll be talking about these strategies. आपने किस तरह करना है, reading comprehension करनी कैसे है? So let's talk about the first one. You have to activate your background knowledge when you are going to read the text. Ultimately, in some cases, the thing that you are reading has got some relationship with your prior knowledge, and sometimes it has nothing to do with your prior knowledge. So how does that prior knowledge affect reading? When we encounter new objects, we use everything we've learned from our previous experiences to understand the new thing. We relate it to the other similar looking object that might be found in a similar location or used for a similar task. The same is true for reading. We use our past experiences with text, language, and people to generate meaning from text. For example, if I talk about tree, ठीक है, I'm just speaking about word tree, ठीक है, मैंने tree की बात की. So straight away you have utilized your prior knowledge and you talked about a plant that is called tree. It has got leaves, it has got root, it has got trunks, it has got all these parts. But when I pursued further, then I talked about Christmas tree, or I talked about, I can say, hierarchy tree, or you can say a phrase structure tree. So there are different trees, but the first one, the one with that you have utilized your background knowledge, or straight away you have got the idea tree ऐसा होता है. So फिर from that background knowledge we are going to get the meaning from the context जो आपके पास है. पहले आपने पिछले को यूटिलाइज किया, मैंने दरख्त की बात की, I've just talked about tree, वहाँ से आपने एक आइडिया निकाला. अब आपको फिर दिखाया गया कि the one we are talking, हायरार्की का जो ट्री होता है, जैसे आपकी वो होती है ना, उसको हम कहते हैं ख़ानदान का जो शजरा नसब लिख दिया जाए. So that hierarchy is written if we come to know that this is a tree, वो एक hierarchy की सूरत में नीचे आ रहा था. फिर ट्री डायग्राम होती है जो ग्रामर के अंदर आप सबसे ऊपर लिखते हैं सेंटेंस, देन आप नाउन फ्रेज एंड वर्ब फ्रेज, देन नाउन फ्रेज के साथ आप लिखते हैं दिस इज नाउन फ्रेज, दिस इज मॉडिफायर, दिस इज हेड, देन फिर मॉडिफायर में ये क्या है, से डिटर्मिनर, मॉडिफायर एंड हेड. So then we convert them into smaller and smaller groups and so on. So that's also tree. So मुख्तलिफ नाम है ना. So you have to capitalize on what you know about the topic integrated with new learning. ठीक है, ट्री की बात की आपने, उससे पहले आपको क्या इल्म था. So when you are going to read any passage, so you have to look for your own background knowledge. You have to activate it. You have to utilize it for that purpose when you are going to read. And in certain cases, especially when you are going to learn new words, so definitely when you understand the context, you will be utilizing your background knowledge and you will enhance your reading skills. The next is using sensory images that are created in your head from a very detailed description of something, like 5 senses के ज़रिए जो आपके जहन में आती हैं, sensory images के ज़रिए, mental images. मैंने just आपके सामने एक word बोला, tree. I've talked about tree. So you have got a sensory image in your mind that is also related to, in biology आपने tree के बारे में क्या पढ़ा, फिर आपके जहन में sensory image create हुई, और अभी आप ट्री के बारे में कुछ और देख रहे हैं, दैट इज लाइक क्रिसमस ट्री और एनीथिंग एल्स. सो सेंसरी इमेजेस help you to imagine in your head as you read the text. Your image will be further enhanced. और एक इमेज के साथ, पहले आपके जहन में ट्री की बात थी, but with the passage of time, apart from that tree related to biology, you have got another tree that is related to grammar, another tree that is related to history. So little screen जो आपके दिमाग में चल रही थी, उस पे मज़ीद इम्पैक्ट पड़ा. आपने एक चीज़ पढ़ी, ट्री को पढ़ा, तो आपको बहुत से ट्रीज़ का पता चला. Okay. Then another strategy, that is questioning, that you have to clarify and comprehend what you are reading. So those readers who are struggler, basically, they do not ask questions of themselves or the text as they read. So you have to ask questions. You have to take questions with you when you are reading, ठीक है, to clarify and comprehend what you are reading. So when you have got some questions with you, definitely you are trying to understand it. Direct questions जो है ना पेपर में इस तरह नहीं दे दिए जाते कि as it is वो लिखा हो. No, you have got some very important question. For example, you're asked to find out main idea in a text, in a passage, or you can say hidden meaning available in the text. So you've got the question with you and you are going to adopt that strategy. You are going to find out the answer. Then there is another reading comprehension strategy. You have to make prediction that what will happen, checking them as they go along, revising and evaluating them as needed. You have to make predictions and inferences. When you are reading the text, you have to infer the meaning from the text at your own. You have to give your own predictions. Okay, this is another strategy. Then you have to determine main ideas. You have to find out key ideas and themes as you read, and then distinguish between important and unimportant information. And along with that, you have to use fix up options. Means you have to know when you understand and when you do not understand. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि कब आपको किसी बात की समझ आती है, कब नहीं आती. So if you have trouble understanding specific words, phrases, longer passages, so there are certain problem solving strategies. Skip, reread, ask questions, use a dictionary. You have got problems. कैसे? You are provided with a text and you look that there are some words, phrases or passages which you do not understand. क्या करना है आपने? इसमें fix up option में ये होता है, आप उसको छोड़ के आगे चलें. Sentence समझ नहीं आया, आगे चलें. Word समझ नहीं आया, phrase समझ नहीं, आगे चलें. और फिर आप उसको दोबारा रीड करें, क्वेश्चंस खुद से पूछें, डिक्शनरी को इस्तेमाल करें, रीड द पैसेज अलाउड. सो दीज ऑल थिंग्स विल हेल्प यू टू फिक्स अप योर प्रॉब्लम्स, डील विद योर ट्रबल्स. ट्रबल्स क्या है? लफ्ज़ मुश्किल था, आप उसको छोड़ के आगे बढ़े, समटाइम्स वहीं से आपको आइडिया मिल गया कि यार इसका मतलब ये बनता था. यू हैव गॉट द आइडिया एंड स्ट्रेट अवे यू हैव यूटिलाइज्ड दैट आइडिया. Then is synthesizing. Good readers track their thinking as it evolves during reading to get the overall meaning. So sometimes you have to track your own thinking. आपने overall meaning निकालना है. So what is the purpose of reading? Now we are going to talk about that, but before that I'll be asking a question from you. So when we are talking about purpose of reading, it means being a students, we are assigned the task of reading and writing. There are two things. When we are in class, we are assigned the task to present, we are assigned the task to speak, to ask questions and the things like this. But most of the time students are involved in reading the text. So you have to comprehend that text for a number of reasons. Means you have to enhance your understanding, you have to improve the organization of the information and text, you have to improve your attention and concentration, you have to make it more attractive process, active process. जितना आप ज़्यादा practice करेंगे ना reading की, there are some people, for example, there are some people who are in habit of reading and they whisper while reading, their lips move when they are reading. And there are people, those who read, they cannot read silently, they read aloud. And there are people, those who read with just moving their eyes. So by virtue of practice, you reach at that stage where you start reading by moving your eyes. But you have to promote your critical thinking and evaluation of reading material. So you have to read. As you are going to enhance your registration and recall of text information in memory, you have to recall the things. You are sitting an exam and you are recalling all the information, so you are reading. So there are certain purposes. Being students, we have to deal with anyone, and there are certain advantages also. When you have improved your reading comprehension skills, definitely your academic performance will be affected. As I've already mentioned this, that if you are a slow reader, so ultimately you will take a lot of time in reading the text. And if you are fast reader, your brain processes the information fastly, so definitely you will read more material, you will have more knowledge. So when you read effectively, you understand the assignment in a better way, you prepare your assignments in a better way, your classroom participation will be improved, and you will make more and complete notes, more accurate. Book review, writing a book review is basically meant to enhance your reading skills, meant to enhance your reading, you can say reading capabilities. So, because you have got some questions to answer. So your performance on exams and quizzes may be greatly improved as you become more proficient and effective readers. Your interest and motivation in a subject is often fostered when you understand the reading assignment. If you don't understand ultimately, for example, how this one, you are provided with the text by your course teacher. For example, you are provided with a text, and when you are going to attempt that text, when you are going to answer, when you are going to deal with it, so you are provided with a lot of material. तो क्या होता है कि आप घबरा जाते हैं, इसको क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना. So what you have to do, basically, when you read, you note down your points, important points. So what you do, basically your interest, your motivation will be increased. आपको टीचर ने असाइनमेंट दी, मटेरियल दिया, ये चैप्टर्स पढ़ के आना है. And when you when you go to the class and you have studied that material, so your interest and your ultimately your motivation will be enhanced. क्योंकि टीचर ने जब क्वेश्चन करना है, you will answer the questions, so that will be greatly affected. That will be greatly affected. अगर आप पढ़ के नहीं जाएंगे तो क्या होगा, आप खामोशी से बैठे रहेंगे, साथ वाला बच्चा पढ़ के गया, उसने आंसर्स देने, आप जवाब भी नहीं दे पाएंगे. So when you will read, you will gain proficiency in reading, your self-esteem will also be improved. And when your reading comprehension fails, if it fails, so क्या करना है, मुश्किल लगता है, फेलियर नज़र आता है, क्या करना है, ignore that text and read on. Spend judgment and look ahead for clarification. Form a tentative hypothesis and read on to see if you are correct. Reread the sentence, reread previous context, go to an expert source. पढ़ेंगे, आपके कोर्स में किताब है, पैसेज मिला है पढ़ने के लिए, यार समझ नहीं आ रही. दिस इज द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम एंड वी फेस इट व्हेन वी आर रीडिंग. समझ नहीं आ रही क्या करना है. सो क्या करना है आपने? यू हैव टू री रीड द टेक्स्ट. छोड़ दें पहले, आगे निकल जाएं. समझ आ गई है, दैट्स फाइन. ठीक है, आपने एक पैसेज छोड़ दिया, दैट्स फाइन इफ यू अंडरस्टूड इट. अदरवाइज हाइपोथेसिस ड्रॉ करें, एक आइडिया खुद से लगाएं. डेफिनेटली यू विल गेट द इंफॉर्मेशन. फिर दोबारा पढ़ें, you will get the idea. So now we are going to do some reading activities. So this is just 1 minute activity that we are going to do right now, that I'm going to highlight the slide over there. Please read this slide. 085, please read.
Slide.
Going to the mountains, read the story.
Sir, slide. Okay. Reading the text. Going to the mountains. Jan and John are twins. They live with their mom and dad. They live in a town that never gets cold. The town never has snow in the winter, but they can see the mountains in the distance, and the mountains have snow. Sometimes the twins' parents takes them to the mountains. Everyone puts on a heavy jacket. They all wear fuzzy mittens on their hands. They each have warm winter cap. The family enjoys playing in the snow. They make a huge circle like a track in the snow. That circle is like a track. They chase each other around the track. They slip, they slide, they get wet when they fall down. But that snow play is fun.
Okay, please have a screenshot. Now we are going to look at the questions. There are 3 questions. Okay, just have a screenshot. This reading text. Just have a screenshot of this reading text. हाँ जी, ले लिया?
Yes, sir, Lelia.
Okay. Okay, now let's answer the questions. Why would Jan and John look far away to the mountains? How far away are the mountains? How does the family prepare for snow play? You know that you have got questions, and when you have got questions to answer, so you will read the text with those questions in your mind, and you have to try to find the answers from the text. Okay? So now let's start finding the answers. If anybody has found, then he is allowed to speak. हाँ जी, anybody who has noted down the questions, answers. ये 1 मिनट की एक्टिविटी है, just 1 minute.
Sir, Jan and John look away for to the mountains because there is no snow in their town and it's not that cold in their town, so they want to play in the snow.
Okay, we'll be looking at the answers. If you are done with all the 3, then I'm going to look at the answers. तीनों कर लिए आप लोगों ने? We are just going to match the answers. If you are done with these 3, then I'm going to share the next slide where you will find out the answers. Look here. So match it with your answers. If you have any ambiguity related to these answers, please tell me. These are the right options, right answers of those questions which we have asked before, and these answers are available in the text. But you need to understand, basically these answers are not available like this, that you are just going to answer multiple choice questions. No, rather you have to understand the text and then you have to answer.
सर हमारे 3 आंसर है।
यही है।
सर मुझे लास्ट वाले
यस
में
सर।
थोड़ी कंफ्यूजन है। लाइक उन्होंने पूछा हाउ डज द फैमिली प्रिपेयर फॉर द स्नो प्ले, तो उसमें ये भी तो हो सकता है कि वो लोग मतलब जैकेट्स पहनते थे और हैंड मिटन्स पहनते थे और कैप्स पहनते थे कि नहीं?
यस सर, इसी मुझे भी ये कंफ्यूजन है।
Basically they do not, you are talking about snow, basically we are talking about snow play, ठीक है। यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्नो के जब बारिश लगती है तो हम छतरी लेके आते हैं, ठीक है।
नहीं सर, उन्होंने लिखा हुआ है ना कि जाते हुए वो लोग जैकेट्स पहनते थे और फजी
जी मैं
मिटन्स
बताता हूँ
पहनते
ना। यस, आई एम गोइंग टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस के बाहर बारिश लगी हुई है। अब इसमें दो बातें हैं, एक बारिश लगी हुई है तो बारिश में आप छतरी लेके बाहर निकलते हैं, एक वो कहता है बारिश में आप खेलते कैसे हैं। सो द क्वेश्चन इज दिस दैट हाउ फैमिली प्रिपेयर फॉर स्नो प्ले। तो उसके लिए क्या करते हैं, वो सर्कल में इकट्ठे होते हैं, ट्रैक बनाते हैं, फिर वो दैट सर्कल्स इज लाइक अ ट्रैक, ठीक है। दे चेज ईच अदर अराउंड द ट्रैक, दे स्लिप, दे स्लाइड। सो दिस इज प्ले, स्लिप एंड स्लाइड इज बेसिकली प्ले। उसके लिए दिस इज व्हाट प्रिपरेशन, ठीक है। सर्कल करना, ट्रैक में होना, स्नो में, और लाइक दैट, ठीक है। समझ आ गई बात। वो तो दैट इज बिफोर द एक्टिविटी, द वन दैट द वन दैट यू आर आंसरिंग दैट इज बिफोर द एक्टिविटी। सो व्हाट दे डू बेसिकली वो है बारिश लगने से पहले की बात ना, कि बारिश के अंदर या बर्फ के अंदर वो जा रहे हैं तो क्या करें। सो ये गेम की बात करें, गेम के लिए क्या प्रिपरेशन करते हैं। ओके, let's move towards the next activity that is also of just 1 minute, and let's read the text. So who is going to read the text? I need a volunteer.
फिर
Yes,
मैं पढ़ूं?
आप पढ़े।
A great lake means a very large lake. North America has 5 Great Lakes. The 5 Great Lakes are large and deep. They are deep enough for very big ships. The Great Lakes are between Canada and United States. The name of the lakes are Superior,
Michigan.
Erie, and Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. These lakes all connect to each other through rivers and canals. Ships from all over the world can sail on the Great Lakes. First, these ships travel on the Atlantic Ocean. They carry heavy loads of boxes and freight. From the Atlantic Ocean, the rivers enter a deep river. This river connects to the Great Lakes. The ships continue to travel. Around the Great Lakes are cities called ports. The ships deliver the boxes or freight at these ports. Then the ships sail back. फिर आगे पता नहीं
To
क्या
the
लिखा
ocean.
हुआ है. To the
Then the
ocean.
ships sail back to the ocean. So this is the text. So you are advised to have a screenshot and look for the questions. Screenshot ले लिया? So let's have a look for
Yes, sir.
look at the questions. What are the 3 jobs of the ships in this story? What are ports? Name the 5 Great Lakes. CR, do you feel any, are you any student who is facing problems today? कोई कनेक्ट डिस्कनेक्ट वाला चक्कर तो नहीं है आज, कि आज कोई ऐसा सिलसिला तो नहीं चल रहा आप लोगों को कोई अनम्यूट कर रहा हो ज़बरदस्ती, कोई निकाल रहा हो क्लास में से? आई एम श्योर दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन टुडे एट लीस्ट। कोई प्रॉब्लम्स तो नहीं चल
नो
रहे?
सर, आज ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ.
Okay, okay. We have traced the culprit, and inshallah that culprit will get the medicine. ठीक है, जो बंदा इस तरह की शरारतें कर रहा था ना, उसको उसके हिस्से की जो है ना दवाई मिलेगी इंशाल्लाह, ठीक है। और उसको पता भी नहीं चलेगा उसको दवाई मिल रही है, ये भी उसमें अभी मैं आपको बता दूँ। Because that culprit comes in the class and just creates disturbances and then leaves. So no worries, everything is being noticed. Okay, so now we are going to answer these questions. What are the three jobs of the ships in this story? जी बोलिए.
आंसर्स कर लिया है हमने.
Okay, let's match. कौन पढ़ेगा इस स्लाइड को?
सर मैं बोलूं?
हाँ पढ़े पढ़े.
What are the three jobs of the ships in this story? They carry heavy loads of boxes and freight. They travel and deliver them to ports. Then these ships sails back to the ocean. What are the ports around the Great Lakes? Are cities called ports? Name the five Great Lakes: Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario.
Okay, anyone whose answer is different from these, किसी का मैच नहीं करता तो बता दे. If you have any question related to this one, if you say that it is not matching with mine, please come. So there is another slide that I'm going to share a useful tip with you, that you, when you are going to read a passage, please take notes. And if you do a comprehension activity, it is always good to take notes of what you read, especially in case of long reading text. When you are provided with reading chapters and chapters, research papers, thesis, so there you have to take notes. So out of every paragraph you have to make some notes, so that at the end, if you are asked some questions, if your comprehension is tested, so your notes will help you. Then you will not straight away, you will not jump into the reading text, rather you will look at your notes. And this strategy can be adopted being a student when you are provided with material from your course teachers, and they ask you to read, so just read and make your notes. You can underline important points on the text, on the written text, and this is one way. And the other is that you can just make your notebook and write down your own notes for each chapter. So when you are asked questions, or when you review for exams, so that comprehension activity will help you. In a lesser time you will prepare maximum material. ठीक है, आप अपने notes बनाएं, अपनी चीज़ें note करें. So let's do another activity, reading the text. Yes, who is going to read this one?
जी सर.
आप पढ़ें. पढ़े.
हो रही आपकी
स्क्रीन तो आ रही है मेरी सामने, क्यों नहीं आ रही? हाँ, जिसको नजर आ रही है पढ़े जी, शाबाश. Screen is
All
available.
over the world, people wear sweaters. In very cold places, people wear heavy and warm sweaters. Those sweaters are sometimes itchy. They are itchy if they are made of wool. Wool is an animal hair. That is why wool sweaters are very warm. Some people do not need warm wool sweater. They wear another kind of sweater made from cotton. A cotton sweater is soft and cool. Cotton comes from the first of a special planet. No, sorry, special plant. Cotton is not made from animal hair. In very cold places, people might wear a sweater under a jacket. In nice and warm places, they wear a sweater instead of jacket. A sweater is a nice piece of clothing. It looks nice with pants and a skirt.
Okay, write down your answers for these questions. Write down your answers. Yes, there are 5 questions in the slides, and I'm sure that you have found the answers. So look at my answers and try to match with yours.
यस सर यही आंसर है हमारे भी।
सर
Okay,
यही आंसर्स।
okay, okay. So it means that you have acquired reading comprehension skills, and I'm sure when you will do the practice, when you will read a lot, ultimately you will be a good reader. Ultimately, you will become a good writer. When we say that people, this person writes very effectively, his writing appeals us, so the reason behind is that he was a good reader. जो जितने अच्छे readers होते हैं ना, they become very good writers. So if you want to become a good writer, please do read a lot. ठीक है, read extensively. So don't take it a burden. Receive the material, receive the language material related to vocabulary, related to sentence structure, related to information. So when you will read a lot of things, ultimately your knowledge will be enhanced in terms of form and structure, in terms of knowledge. So when your skills will be enhanced, ultimately your writing skills will also be improved. So we are going to do another activity that is also just a 1 minute activity. Read this slide and you have to answer 3 questions on the next slide. So who is going to read it? Yes, volunteer.
सर मैं
पढ़ें.
read the following and answer the 3 questions given on the next slide. Study the pet care chart. Handling, feeding, housing. Cats. Lift a cat using 2 hands, one under its forends and one under the rump. A cat should not be
Ponies.
dropped. A cat should not be dropped for it will not always land on its feet. Brush its coat regularly. Bones that may splinter should not be fed to cats. Provide a high protein, high fat commercial cat food. If food is not moist, provide water. A box with a cushion or a blanket can be used for sleeping. Provide a scratching post to keep dogs warm down. Dog. Don't allow a dog to roam freely. Groom a dog regularly. Check that its ears are clean and its nails are trimmed. To avoid the loss of its natural oil bath if only when it is dirty. Serve a balanced diet of commercial dog food. Feed once or twice a day depending on the dog's condition. Give the dog large uncooked beef bones or artificial bones. Provide water. Protect the dog from dampness and from extremes of heat and cold. A warm, dry blanket can be used for bedding. Clean the bedding regularly. Fish. Don't mix large and small fish. Net fish gently to prevent the spread of diseases. Isolate each new fish for a few days before adding it to your tank. Check with the fish dealer about the proper diet for the fish. Don't put more food in the tank than the fish can eat in 5 minutes. After 10 or 15 after 10 to 15 minutes, all leftover food should be removed to prevent an accumulation of rotting food. Don't use fish bowls because the fish can't get enough oxygen. Use distilled water. Provide proper lighting. Be sure the water does not contain chlorine.
Okay, so let's find these statements. There are 6 statements. So you have to mark down. Just take a screenshot of this one. Please have a screenshot so that we should answer these questions. There are some true false questions now. Let's see. So look here, the healthiest dogs are bathed every day. Uh, please look at the previous slide and tell me whether this statement is true or false. There are 6 statements. Mark them whether they are true or false. बताएं जी, note करें. When you are done, then please tell me, then I'll be sharing the answers. हाँ जी, if you have noted down, please tell me 1 2 3 4 5 6 true false कौन सा true है कौन सा false है.
सर पहला तो फॉल्स है
और आखिरी वाला 2 सेकंड वाला.
Okay, let's see. हाँ जी, am I right?
यस सर.
Okay, let's move to the next slide. Now we are going to have another exercise, and there you are given three options for each sentence, and you have to choose the one. There are 6 questions, 6 statements that you have to follow. You have to complete those sentences. So let's look at the answers. If you've seen the statements, so let's look at the answers. Natural aisles, isolate, accumulate, oxygen, grooming, commercial. So there are words. Basically at word level you have to read and you have to understand what is the meaning of that sentence over there. So should I open the answers? Anji.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. These are the answers. Okay, these are the answers. Commercial pet food is sold in stores. If a dog's skin loses its natural soils, it will become dry and scaly. When you isolate a new fish, you keep it away from your other fish. If leftover food accumulates in a fish tank, it will rot and cause disease. Tropical fish won't get enough oxygen if they are kept in a bowl rather than a tank. A basic grooming tool for both dogs and cats is a brush. Basically, you have to complete the sentences, and sometimes here I'm sharing with you one very important thing, that sometimes the sentence form is based on plural, and there are all the options which are provided in singular, and there is only one that is provided in plural. ठीक है, बाज़ दफ़ा ऐसे होता है ना कि वहाँ वो चलता हुआ आ रहा है, आगे सारे वो पीछे वो सिंगुलर था, मीन्स ही शी इट का इस्तेमाल किया गया, नाउन सिंगुलर, वर्ब सिंगुलर, आगे वो चीज़ भी सिंगुलर ही लगनी चाहिए. तो आप स्ट्रक्चर से अंदाज़ा लगा लेते हैं, इन्फॉर्मेशन की आपको ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ती. Anyway, let's move towards the last slide, and now we are going to have questions from you. If you have still you have any question, we'll be having some exercises in the next class also on reading comprehension. But if you have any question, if you didn't understand anything, please do ask me. We have tried to extract the meaning from the text. We have tried to understand what is reading, and we have also tried to look for some specific strategies related to reading. We have learned some tools related to reading, that how we have to find out the meaning. And I would recommend you that you should make a habit of reading instead of using social websites, means social media and things like these. You being students of psychology, you need to read a lot. Reading makes a full man confidence.
टाइम हो गया 1 hour 17 minutes हो गया. हमारी अगली क्लास क्यों नहीं है, तो नमाज ब्रेक दे दो.
Yes, I know.
19.
Yes, I know. I've started your class quite early because I have to settle some administrative issues related to the class. I have to arrange all the controls. So there are 3 minutes left, so we have to wait for those 3 minutes. So please, I'm just waiting for your questions now. I know that you have to go for prayer. Me also have to offer prayer, so don't worry about that. Please, I'm waiting for your question now. Anybody, CR, please, if you have any question, any other student who has got to ask any question related to reading comprehensions lecture today, please ask. And inshallah, your lecture with this recording will be uploaded in LMS tonight inshallah, before night inshallah. ठीक है, आज ही अपलोड हो जाएगा. हाँ जी, कोई क्वेश्चन आपका, कोई बात पूछनी है तो पूछिए, ताकि फिर हम इस क्लास को कंप्लीट करें, वाइंड अप करें. किसी का रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन?
सर एक्सक्यूज मी सर.
यस
सर अटेंडेंस हो तो नहीं गई, मेरा बीच में नेट डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था.
Don't worry. I'll be recording the attendance at the end of the class, so no worries. Okay, so don't worry about that.
Thank you sir.
And be prepared for your presentations. I'll be talking to the university whether I would conduct the presentations or I would just collect the book review assignments, right? As I told you that you have to prepare your handouts, your assignment, so that will be converted into assignment as a group assignment, and we'll be talking about that. And its deadline will also be set after the next after essay writings. ठीक है, उसके साथ ही दूसरी की भी deadline set कर देंगे. So before the final exam you have जी बोलिए.
सर लेकिन हमारे पास बुक्स तो है ही नहीं, हम कैसे अब ग्रुप में बुक रिव्यू लिखेंगे?
As I told you that you can have an access online, I've allowed you that you can have an access online. ठीक है, आप कहीं से भी डाउनलोड कर लें. The book will be of your choice, but the pattern will be of my choice. ठीक है, बुक आपकी चॉइस होगी, पैटर्न मेरी चॉइस का होगा. इट डिपेंड्स कि आप में से आपके पूरे ग्रुप को प्रेजेंटेशन करवाई जाए या एक बंदे को 2 से करवा दी जाए. ठीक है, इट विल बी डिसाइडेड. मैं लेट मी टॉक टू द डिपार्टमेंट कि किस तरह आपकी वो प्रेजेंटेशन ली जाए. ठीक है, सो प्लीज़ डू इट. ठीक है, इन द लास्ट वीक इंशाल्लाह वी विल बी डूइंग प्रेजेंटेशंस पॉजिटिवली इन द लास्ट 2 वीक्स. ठीक है,
ठीक है सर. दिसंबर के लास्ट वीक में कि जनवरी के लास्ट?
in the last week of the semester, not January and December, in the last week of the semester, in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so okay, that's all for today, and we'll be seeing you a day after tomorrow on Friday inshallah. So I hope that you will do practice on reading on your own material. See you on Friday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.